Welcome. This is Subject to Existing Debt video tutorial number 2. My name is Jeffrey Smith. This is the Microsoft Excel 2007 spreadsheet, Subject to Existing Debt. This is for analyzing an income property that you intend to take over subject to the existing debt. On the main worksheet, we have input fields in yellow for the property name, property street address, property city, state, and zip, and a one-line description. Analysis date and a file number. Input the purchase parameters. You specify negative values for the down payment, for the assignment fee, estimated closing costs, and renovation costs. These values are considered the equity investment of the purchaser. The loan-to-value is the existing debt on the property. The purchase price is then calculated as the all-in of these out-of-pocket cash expenses plus assuming the existing debt. The debt has an annual interest rate, amortization periods. The periodic payment is calculated. You input the monthly rent, the vacancy and credit loss factor, other income, and the gross operating expense as a negative number. The net operating income is calculated. Subtract the annual debt service, and this is the net cash flow before tax. You can also specify a general description, the number of distinct dwelling units on floor 1, 2, and 3, total number of bedrooms and bathrooms, total rentable square feet. Specify the seller contact data and the broker contact data. The right-hand column has critical ratios, the calculated capitalization rate according to the cost and structure of financing, the gross return on equity. This is also the cash-on-cash return before tax. The net return on equity is the cash-on-cash return after tax, and the debt coverage ratio. There are sample tax calculations. You specify the percentage of the purchase price which is allocated to the land value. The remainder is the improvements value. This is what you can depreciate. For a residential property, depreciation is straight line, 27.5 years. With a marginal tax rate of 35%, the spreadsheet calculates the first year's interest and principal, subtracts the interest from the net operating income to arrive at the taxable net income, and then subtracts the depreciation allowance from that to arrive at the depreciated taxable income. Then your marginal tax rate is applied to that value to arrive at your annual income tax for this cash flow. And we see here that the effective marginal tax rate on the taxable net income has been reduced to 7.5% due to the depreciation allowance. The spreadsheet calculates the net cash flow after tax annually as well as monthly. Also calculates the estimated income tax escrow that you should set aside from each month's gross cash flow before tax, so you can pay your quarterly and annual income tax on the property. There are additional worksheets. The operating expense detail is where you can specify the negative expenses of various parameters of operating the property. There is a related worksheet called Translate Expense Detail. When you have the operating expense laid out in different categories, you can translate the source expense over to the target expense that's used in this spreadsheet using this worksheet. You specify the information that was in the pro forma for the property as negative values. You then specify how to translate each of these source rows into a target row. Then you click the Translate button and it will translate all of these expenses over to the target expenses. Once you've done that, you can click the Copy to Expense Detail and all of these target expenses will be copied over to the operating expense detail. Once you have that, you can click the Set Gross Operating Expense button and it will place a reference to the total operating expense over here in the gross operating expense input cell. The blended financing worksheet, where you can specify the primary debt, and if the seller is holding any secondary debt or you're contemplating a wraparound debt, you can specify the secondary financing here. The spreadsheet will then calculate the equivalent wraparound. If there are repairs, there's a summary sheet for repair estimates. You can plug in the number of units, which can be anything. It could be square feet, gallons of paint, number of dishwashers, whatever, and then the cost per unit, and the spreadsheet will calculate the subtotals for each of these sections and then summarize all of it down here under total repair estimates. Property scoring. This is a quick estimate of how the property scores according to your investment criteria. You can choose the location is poor, average, or excellent. The condition of the property is the same, poor, average, or excellent, and so on for the price, the financing, and the seller motivation. And there are further explanations of these categories. The spreadsheet will then sum the score of these categories to produce a total. If this total is at least 12 or higher, then this property is a suspect that you should look into. If it's less than 12, then it won't work for you. There's also a wealth opportunity study sheet where you can place your notes about this property and how you intend to acquire it. There are several mail merge templates provided for Microsoft Word. The first one is the summary brief. Always click no on this requester because it's looking for the comma separated values plain text file in the wrong folder. This is a mail merge template where you can summarize the parameters from the spreadsheet. You would go up to Mailings, select Recipients, use Existing List. You would navigate to the folder that has the comma separated values plain text file of the spreadsheet that has the parameters of the subject property. Click OK. Go up to Mailings, preview results. Now we have all the parameters copied from the spreadsheet over into your summary brief. This is only for your eyes. Letter of proposal. If you intend to flip this property to an owner-occupant, you can summarize the transaction. You can delete any lines that don't apply. For example, if there is no secondary lien or wraparound, you can just triple click, drag it down, press delete, and there you go. You can put in a JPEG image of your signature into the template file and save it in your Microsoft Windows template folder. The wholesale brief is intended to be a plain text email message, and you will attach the PDF documents to the email and blast it out to your best buyers list. Summarizes the transaction, and then they can look at the attachments if it looks like something that they're interested in pursuing. If you are flipping this Subject-To deal, the rental property wholesale opportunity mail merge template summarizes the salient points. I highlight the assignment fee. Closing costs are estimated. These would include escrow costs and legal fees if they are retaining an attorney to handle the secondary financing, the wraparound promissory note, and the all-inclusive trust deed. This has been Subject to Existing Debt video tutorial number 2. My name is Jeffrey Smith, and thank you for your support.